and welcome to Talk About Talk podcast episode number 164, The Power of Personal Branding. My name is Dr. Andrea Wojnicki, and I'm your executive communication coach. Please call me Andrea. I'm so glad you're here. We're counting down the top 10 most downloaded episodes of the 160 episodes to date. Over the past 3 weeks, we've covered controlling your narrative, communication skills for job seekers, and speaking up in meetings. This week, we cover the power of personal branding. This is one of my favorite episodes, probably for 2 reasons. First of all, you're going to learn what the real benefits are, what the power is of taking the time to focus on and to develop your personal brand in a disciplined and a strategic way. The other reason I love this episode is because you're going to hear the voice of one of my past clients who shares with us her thoughts on the significant impact that personal branding has had on her career, even on her ability to save lives. Yeah, this gives me the shivers. And since we first released this episode, I've created a personal branding assessment that I think you might be interested in. This is your opportunity to think a little bit more strategically about your personal brand. Just go to talkabouttalk.com/personal brand. There are about 30 questions in this self-assessment, so it doesn't take very long. And after you're done, it gets really interesting. You can click on See Previous Responses, and you'll be able to compare your answers to everyone else who's taken the assessment. So this is an opportunity for self-reflection, but it's also an opportunity to compare your answers with others. Just go to talkabouttalk.com/personal brand, and you'll see the assessment there. I created that link for you to make it easy. Just talkabouttalk.com/personal brand. That's it. All right, here we go. Let's learn about the power of personal branding. Enjoy the episode.
Let's do this. Let's talk about talk.
Greetings and welcome to Talk About Talk episode number 98, focused on the power of personal branding. In case we haven't met, I'm Dr. Andrea Wojnicki. Call me Andrea. I'm your communication coach, and I'm the founder of Talk About Talk. At Talk About Talk, we're relentlessly focused on improving our communication skills. Specifically, my goal is to accelerate the career advancement of ambitious executives by elevating their communication effectiveness. Whether you're consulting in cybersecurity, or growing your own small business, or curing cancer, communication skills are critical. At Talk About Talk, we talk about communication skills topics like networking, overcoming imposter syndrome, and yes, personal branding. You can access Talk About Talk across a variety of media, all on the talkabouttalk.com website. There's the archive of this bi-weekly podcast. There's the free weekly communication skills coaching newsletter. There's one-on-one coaching with me, and you'll find access to great online courses, including a new online course on personal branding. But you can choose whatever works for you, and you can find it all on the website. Okay, welcome to Talk About Talk episode number 98, focused on the power of personal branding. After listening to this episode, you're not only going to feel inspired, you'll also know exactly why you should focus on your personal brand, the benefit or the payback that you're going to get for that effort. Here's how this episode's going to go. It's a short one, but it's a doozy. I'm going to share with you 3 specific benefits or reasons for why you should focus on your personal brand. For those of you who know me, you know I'm a big fan of 3s. So of course, there are 3 main reasons. Then I'm going to list for you several strategies that you can explore to help you personally leverage the power of personal branding. I've compiled a list of resources, some of which will appeal to you more so than others, depending on whether you prefer learning as an individual or learning in a group setting, and depending on whether you prefer listening or reading or whatever. As always, you can find the show notes for this episode on the talkabouttalk.com website. You'll find links to all the personal branding resources that I mentioned there, plus a summary of the key learnings and the transcript. Okay, let me start by referencing Natasha, the cancer researcher who you just heard. Remember she said, quote, "The impact of effective communication, including personal branding, is much underestimated, in my opinion. It is really worth building one's personal brand." There are very few people out there that would disagree with Natasha that personal branding is important. Yet, many of us never seem to get around to it, probably for two main reasons. First of all, and I find myself saying this all the time, personal branding is important, but it's never urgent. You could say that for many other communication skills too, beyond personal branding, like confidence, listening skills, storytelling, and more. They're all important things to work on, but they're not urgent. So setting time aside to focus on improving these communication skills always seems to get pushed down on our to-do list, doesn't it? The second reason why many people don't get around to focusing on their personal brand is that they aren't quite sure what the benefits are of personal branding. Again, most people agree that personal branding is a good thing, that it's going to help them. But how exactly? And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you now. Based on my personal experience in developing my own personal brand, and after working with clients in workshops and in coaching sessions with people like Natasha, I can say there are several real benefits of doing so. So here's my answer to the question, why should I devote my time and energy to developing my personal brand? The three main reasons are, 1, personal branding provides you with the opportunity to create your own narrative. 2, your personal brand provides you with confidence. And 3, articulating your personal brand optimizes your future decision-making and future opportunities. Let me elaborate briefly on each of these. So the first one is that personal branding provides you with the opportunity to strategically manage your own narrative. What if you don't control your own narrative? Well, then you're going to miss out on some opportunities. Or worse, others will write your narrative for you. Just ask Hillary Clinton. Some of you may have heard my theory about what happened to Hillary Clinton. I believe that she may have lost the 2016 election in part because she and her team failed to manage her personal brand. If you look at Hillary's biography, she has always been an advocate for the underprivileged. She could have owned the hero archetype.
Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman.
She could have communicated her personal brand as a true hero, but she failed to do so. And so her opponents painted her instead as the relentless ruler archetype. We aren't all politicians, though, are we? It's not like we all have these formal opponents who are trying to make us look bad.
Phew.
But I'll tell you what we do all have. We all have a personal brand, whether we choose to strategically manage it or not. Think about everyone you know, and even people you don't know. We have a narrative for everyone. So why wouldn't we strategically manage our own narrative? Here's the analogy. Managing your personal brand is kind of like managing your credit rating. There are many people who ignore their credit rating, but that certainly doesn't mean they don't have one. Ditto your personal brand. And your credit rating affects you. It affects you in terms of opportunities and limitations, just like your personal brand affects you. And there are things that you can do to improve your credit rating, like getting a credit card and paying it off on time. Just like there are things we can do to improve our personal brands. So again, there's only upside to strategically managing your personal brand. And we're not talking about manipulating people into thinking things about you that aren't true. Of course, your personal brand needs to be authentic and true to you. But if you're strategically managing it, then you're prioritizing the themes and you're choosing the words. You're introducing yourself explicitly and implicitly every day with the words, the ideas, and the themes that work for you. You're controlling your narrative. And that can only be a good thing for all of us, even if we're not running in an election to be president. So the first reason why focusing on our personal brand is worth all the effort is that it gives us the opportunity to create our own narrative. The second main reason is that personal branding provides us with confidence. This comes up a lot in personal branding sessions. If you have a fully articulated personal brand, then on those occasions when you're experiencing imposter syndrome, when you're in over your head, just remind yourself of your personal brand, and particularly your superpower, and focus on that. Personally, I remember being in board meetings when they started talking about technicalities and I found myself feeling like an imposter. Maybe I don't belong here. Is someone going to call me on this? And then I remind myself of my personal brand, including my expertise in marketing and strategy. And suddenly, my confidence is elevated. I could raise my hand and say, from a strategic perspective, we should also consider whatever. Now I'm truly adding value and I'm reinforcing my personal brand and I'm feeling confident and I'm being perceived as confident too.
Yay!
Last year, I interviewed my friend Jill Nicolation for a Talk About Talk episode on communication skills for leaders. Jill's the award-winning CEO of an advertising agency called Juniper Park TBWA. You'd never guess it if you met Jill, but she also has experienced imposter syndrome at various points in her career. One thing that helps her boost her confidence? Reminding herself of her superpower. Jill's superpower is her exceptional ability to identify meaningful consumer insights. And whenever she feels that shot of adrenaline, she reminds herself of her superpower. Bam! Confidence boosted. Identifying your own personal superpower is a key part of developing your personal brand. Once you've articulated that superpower, you can lean into it. You can also remind yourself of it anytime that you feel like an imposter, anytime you feel that adrenaline rush and you need a confidence boost. Many people have admitted to me that they feel nervous sometimes when they're asked to introduce themselves. Here again is a great example of when your personal brand can boost your confidence. When your personal brand is top of mind, you can introduce yourself with confidence. One last thing in terms of confidence. Generally speaking, I've heard this again and again, that focusing on developing your personal brand is one of the most satisfying things that you can do for yourself. The process itself of cultivating your personal brand is satisfying. I hear this all the time. People say things like, wow, this is so intense and so enjoyable. I realize I've never sat down and considered my personal identity, and I've certainly never done it in a structured, disciplined way. It's like they can feel their confidence building as they're developing their personal brand. So, that's the second reason why we should devote our time and our energy to developing our personal brand. Simply put, developing your personal brand builds your confidence. And the third reason why we should devote our time and energy to developing our personal brand is a little bit less obvious, but I'm convinced that it is at least as valid. Focusing on your personal brand helps us with decision-making and future opportunities. About a year ago, I was attending a Harvard Business School online conference, and one of the keynote speeches was delivered by an impressive managing director of one of the big investment banks. She told us this story of her realization, her epiphany, that her happy place is building relationships with clients. She never used the word personal brand, but she realized that building relationships was her superpower. Her career was going really well, and she was offered a promotion to be the chief of staff for the CEO. She surprised a lot of people when she turned down that promotion, but she explained that she knows her superpower is building relationships with clients. And if she took this job, she wouldn't have the opportunity to leverage her strength and her passion. Years later, as a successful senior executive, she shares this story and encourages everyone to make career decisions based on their superpowers. This is a fantastic example of how articulating your personal brand can help you with decision making. And in terms of future opportunities, establishing a focused personal brand will help you bring the most relevant and exciting opportunities your way. Imagine your identity, your reputation is firmly established in the minds of key stakeholders. Then, when an opportunity comes along that's somehow relevant or associated with your superpower, you will be top of mind. So for example, if your firm is looking for an expert for someone to give a speech on a specific topic or to lead a task force, you will be the one that they call on. Or if there's a job opening, whether it's at your current firm or maybe at another firm, if you've established your personal brand and it's aligned with what people are looking for, you will always be the first person that they turn to.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Over the years, my personal brand has evolved, as it should, in terms of my roles as a brand manager, as a doctoral student, as a business school faculty member, as a consultant, and as a coach. At this point in my career, I'm laser focused on leveraging all of this experience in my role as a communication coach for ambitious executives. My goal is to be the go-to communication coach for individuals and organizations who are seeking communication skills training. So here's the question for you. What future opportunities really excite you? For what do you want to be the go-to expert? Establishing that as part of your personal brand will help you make that happen. So there you are, the 3 main reasons why we should all focus on developing our personal brand. 1, personal branding provides you with the opportunity to create your own narrative. Number 2, your personal brand provides you with confidence. And number 3, articulating your personal brand optimizes your decision-making and your future opportunities. If you weren't already convinced that developing your personal brand is a worthwhile exercise, then these 3 reasons are pretty darn compelling. I've had the honor at this point of coaching hundreds of executives now. I've lost count, but I've helped many executives develop their personal brands, and I've witnessed them experiencing these 3 benefits. To say that it's a privilege and it's satisfying, honestly, it's an understatement. Personal branding is a profoundly impactful and worthwhile pursuit. I certainly agree with Natasha, the oncology researcher who you heard at the beginning of this episode. Personal branding is underrated. When Natasha shared her thoughts with me, I decided that I need to create this episode to explicitly highlight the benefits of personal branding and to share the variety of Talk About Talk resources that you can choose from to help you develop your own personal brand. So, I've created a list of 5 different suggestions or resources that you can choose from to help you develop your own personal brand, depending on your media preferences, depending on your learning style, and depending on your budget. Given that this is a podcast you're listening to, I'm willing to bet that you're an auditory learner, at least to some extent. So, I've created a list of 5 Talk About Talk podcast episodes focused on personal branding that I recommend for you. You'll learn everything from understanding the strategic principles of personal branding to how to communicate your personal brand online and everything in between. If you go to the show notes for this episode on the Talk About Talk website, you'll see the podcast episodes listed right there, roughly in the chronological order that I recommend. And guess what? They're free. And the second option for you is the blogs or the email newsletters that I wrote focused on personal branding. They're also free. So if you prefer to read, you can quickly learn some of the key strategies for how to develop your personal brand based on the blogs I've written. They're also listed in the show notes in the order that I recommend you read them. Now, if you're ready to tackle your personal brand and you're looking for more structured guidance, I have 3 more suggestions. There's the online course, there's one-on-one coaching, and there's corporate workshops. So the online course, I'm really excited and honestly quite proud of this course. It's called 5 Steps to Nail Your Personal Brand. There are a couple of advantages of doing this as an online course. First, you can do it at your own pace. You'll feel like I'm sitting there with you for each of the 5 steps, and you can pause me anytime. It's also less expensive than one-on-one coaching or workshops. And as I said, I have a discount code just for you, Talk About Talk listeners. You'll get 30% off if you use the code TALK30. And if you go to talkabouttalk.com/personal brand, it's there as well. You can't miss it. Alternatively, if you prefer to work directly with me, then one-on-one coaching is the way to go. This is what I'm doing with Natasha. We can set up online meetings and I will guide you through a customized personal branding process, step by step. And the last option is corporate workshops. If you work at an organization where there's more than a few people who may be interested in developing their personal brand, then this can be a great way to go. In fact, you can even learn from other people when you're in an interactive group personal branding workshop. So there you go. Those are the 5 different ways that you can choose from to develop your personal brand. You can listen to the specific podcast episodes focused on personal branding. You can read the blogs or the newsletters. You can sign up for the online course and do it at your own pace. Or you can go for one-on-one coaching or corporate workshops. As I said, all of these options are clearly listed with helpful links in the show notes. If you go to the talkabouttalk.com website, you'll find them right there. I want to close by saying one last thing. If I can play a small role in helping people like you amplify your message and your work, and people like Natasha amplify her message and her work in curing cancer, then I am truly honored. And I promise you that you will experience incredible benefits from focusing on your personal brand. Personal branding provides you with the opportunity to create your own narrative. It provides you with confidence, and articulating your personal brand optimizes your decision-making and your future opportunities. Personal branding is not urgent, but it is incredibly important. And I can't wait to hear how it goes. Please email me anytime at andrea@talkabouttalk.com and let me know. If you have questions or a story to share about your personal brand, I'd love to hear about it. That's it. Thanks for listening, and talk soon.